Alicia. So today is May 24th, it's a Sunday, and I thought I would share with you guys today how to start and run an Instagram thrift page. I have worked on mine since I think I began in the beginning of March, and it has been super successful, and I thought I'd share my tips with you guys of how I've made a successful page and how you guys can too. So the first thing that you're going to need to think about, obviously, when you're creating a page is actually setting up your account and how to do it in the best way. So you want to make sure everything looks professional. So the first thing you're going to need to think about is a profile pic. You can either use like a stock image, but I don't think that's as popular, but a picture of either yourself or like you put some text over it and make like an actual logo. I think that would work the best because if people are spending money, they're not going to want to buy from something that looks kind of like janky and maybe seems like they're going to get scammed. So make sure that you try to like make a nice picture of yourself, or you try to like make a cool logo. But yeah, profile pic is very important. The next thing you're gonna need to set up is your bio. So you don't want to make it long and you don't want to add a lot of text. And what I do is I kind of bullet point each of the different things, and some things that you would probably want to include is like how much average shipping costs. So I use a site called Pirate Ship, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. Usually it costs me $4 to $6 to ship things, so I'll say US shipping $4 to $6 in my bio so people know how much they're going to be paying when they are bidding on an item. And then another thing you should definitely put is your payment methods, whether that's Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or Square. Make sure you include that so when people bid on your items, they know that those are the only 4 things that they can use in order to pay. You're not really supposed to use Venmo or Cash App for that though, so try to stick to PayPal and Square. Okay, and then another thing that is so important is choosing a name. I see so many accounts with such silly usernames. When you're coming up for a name with your shop, you're not going to want to have like 8 Z's and periods and underscores and stuff. You really want to try to choose something that actually sounds like it would be a business that you would see in the mall. For instance, choosing a name like Low Tide Thrift, or Gnarly Fits is going to be something that is going to be a lot more popular and a lot more easy to remember than something that's like XXX, Kamisha Thrift, and then like 4 Z's and then a dot and then an underscore. Like, I don't know any other way to explain it. You want to make sure it's clear and memorable, so keep that in mind when you're creating your shop. Step 2 is to set up your payment methods. If you don't already have PayPal or Square, make sure you sign up for an account, but you have to be 18 or older. So if you're not, talk to your parents about it so that you guys are able to get paid for your different things that you're selling. Okay, so now we're going to talk about inventory. So if you haven't seen my video about online thrifting, I highly suggest you check it out. It's basically me explaining how I thrift online for things and how I get like all these awesome things that I sell at a really good price. So my first tip is when you're first starting your page is not to buy like a ton of different things that you don't know are going to sell. What you should be doing instead is testing things out and trying to use stuff from your own closet. I was listening to a podcast the other day and I got this really good advice, which is test your ideas out the cheapest way possible when it comes to business. And I think that really applies to a thrift page. When you're first starting out, like I did, I had absolutely no idea what was gonna sell. So I started out by buying like 1 or 2 things from Plato's Closet and from Goodwill that I figured would sell or I thought would sell, not spending more than $20. And then the rest of it was stuff that I took from my sister, from my own closet that my mom didn't want anymore. Obviously things we didn't want anymore. And I started by listing those on my pages rather than going out and spending a ton of money. This way I was able to understand what people want to buy and what people will pay more money for. So then I can go ahead and buy product that people will actually buy. You need to have a good balance between like taking risks, obviously, once you grow your account and just selling things that you know will sell, but that's just a little bit of advice when you're starting. Please don't spend all your money because you don't know if items will sell. As for places to get your inventory, you can buy from a bunch of different places online, and you can buy from Depop, Mercari, Vinted, you can buy from Poshmark. There's a ton of different sites. So besides online thrifting, you can go to like your Goodwill, Salvation Army, small thrift shops around you, but the best place I think to buy stuff that if you're selling more like vintage or like really unique pieces, or in order to find really unique pieces, is to actually buy stuff from like garage sales, from our estate sales, and buy them from the Goodwill bins. I know none of that is open right now, but if you're watching this in like a couple months from now, hopefully you can go out and buy stuff there. But I've always found like the coolest t-shirts and stuff at garage sales because it's not as picked over as it would be at your local Goodwill. And then 2 other tips about inventory is, first, don't sell stuff that is damaged. If it has holes in it and you can't fix the hole, try not to sell it because you really don't want to sell people stuff that's not good quality, because if they get something in the mail expecting it to be super nice and then it has like a small hole in it, they'll kind of form an assumption that your page, like all your items are like that, so you don't want that. Or if it's faded or has rips, just like try to avoid it. And then another tip is to just buy very unique items. People don't want to buy a basic tank top that you can literally go to like Abercrombie or Forever 21 and buy, so try to find things that are unique and trendy in style. Like I would say buy like a cool skirt like from Brandy Melville, like this one, instead of buying just like a plain black bodycon skirt, because even if you're spending like $5 more to buy this over the black bodycon skirt, it's more likely that this will sell and you'll probably be able to sell it for a higher price than like a basic item. Now we're going to talk about your posts and actually setting up your page when you're ready to start listing items. The first thing that you're going to need to think about is taking pictures. You do not need a camera whatsoever. Like I think every single Instagram thrift page uses their phone. I use my phone and I put it on self-timer. I prop my phone up. I actually have a tripod, but you can stack books on like a table and take pictures. I would suggest taking pictures in front of a blank wall or having a very plain background to it, because when you're taking pictures, you want to draw people's attention into the item and not to like the plant in the background or your messy room. So I would suggest that. People also take mirror pics, which I think is good too, but you want to make sure that the item is the thing people see and not like your shorts or see like stuff in the background. You're also going to want to make sure like your photos are bright and like nice to look at. So I know a lot of people use filters. I go on Visco personally, and I made this recipe that I use on a lot of my pictures. It's a purple-ish tinted filter. I also turn up the brightness, turn up the saturation, and make it more of a cooler color than yellow, and I think that just fits for my page the best. You can mess around with it depending on like the lighting in your room and stuff, but I would suggest kind of branding yourself a little bit with your filters. Even if you want to add like effects like the dust effect over it, I think that would work too, but don't go overboard with filters or really random things, because I think that distracts people more than it adds to it. So then once you have your pictures and you have them all edited for your items, you're going to want to actually make your post. So I always make drafts so that when I'm ready to upload a drop, which is basically uploading like a bunch of different items at once, I have it all set that I can upload it very quickly. In the caption, what I usually include is first I write a little blurb about the item. Like I say, for example, if I was explaining this Brandy Melville skirt, I would say Brandy Melville Cara skirt in great condition. It has 2 slits in the front and a zipper in the back. It's also a little bit stretchy and super cute for spring. That's literally like probably what I wrote for this. Then I skip a line and I write bid starts at, and then a price for this. I'll probably start it at like $8 or $10 since I paid around that for the item, and then add the shipping in parentheses, like plus $4 for shipping. And then I'll write a bin price, which means buy it now. That means that that person can buy it at that price. It includes the shipping. I would probably make this like $32 shipped, so it includes the shipping and paying for the item. And then if someone comments bin on the item once I upload it, they get it immediately for that price. I wouldn't expect to be able to sell a lot of things at bin when you're first starting out. People a lot of the time will rather wait for an item unless it's super unique or super cool, so don't get your hopes up, but over time you'll start selling more things at bin. And then after the bid in the bin, what I include is a hashtag. You can kind of customize this to your account. So say your account name was World of Thrifts. You can do WOT available as a hashtag and then put that on every post, and when someone buys something, you can just get rid of that hashtag. If you are starting out, I think this is super helpful. This is how I've sold a lot of the items that kind of sit on my page, because people will go to that hashtag and then bid on an item or be like, hey, is this still available? And I'll sell it to them for a really good price so that I can just move stuff out if nobody's really interested in it. I would also recommend using hashtags. So I go on to besthashtags.org. I type in like thrifting or like a brand and I copy all of like the most popular hashtags, which they kind of like do for you, which is really nice. And I'll put that on the post, and that just helps more people to see my items and it helps me to get more followers. Oh, and you're also gonna want to include the size. I always put that under the bin price just so people know what size it is, but yeah, I feel like that's a given. And then once an item is sold, I erase that hashtag, like the hashtag like WOT available, and then I also write at the top of the caption where I originally wrote like Brandy Melville Cara skirt, I will right before that put like an emoji, wrote sold or sold at bin, and then another emoji. And that kind of just alerts people that the item's been sold and they can't buy it again. I know accounts archive stuff, but personally, I think it's better to leave up like all the cute items that you sold. So first, the people who bought the item don't get worried that you're never gonna ship it. And two, so that when people see your account, they see, oh, she sold really cute stuff in the past. I'm gonna go ahead and follow her. So hopefully she'll sell more cute things in the future. And another thing too for taking pictures is try to style the item. You definitely don't need to go crazy, but adding like a cute scrunchie, or if you're modeling like a plain top, if you model it with like a cute skirt, I think it just draws people's attention to the item. And if you give someone like a vision of what it's gonna look like when they buy the item, I think they're more likely to buy it than if you were kind of boringly modeling it. I know people take pictures on hangers or lay it on the floor, but I know that that's not as popular, and if you lay something on the floor, people might get grossed out because the floor is gross. So those are just some tips for that. Next, we're gonna talk about packaging and shipping. So I use the site called Pirate Ship, and basically I'm able to get labels for like 30 to 40% off retail. All you need is your debit card and then obviously like the shipping information. I think that once like your page starts to take off a little bit, it's also a good idea to start thinking about a PO box. Just that you have to pay like a small fee a month just so you're not having people like look up your house, because that's very creepy. I personally don't have my own address. Like it's a PO box so that people don't, I don't know, I just don't want people knowing where I live. That's very creepy to me. So I would think about that. But anyway, I use Pirate Ship, put all my information in. It's a really good discount and I would definitely recommend this site. You also need a scale though to know how much your packages weigh, but that's something you can get very inexpensive off of Amazon. As for my packaging, what I do is I have poly mailers that I bought off of Amazon. I buy them in packs of 100, so I pay about 15 cents per bag and I ship them in that. If you're new to this, what you can do is you can put your items in Ziploc bags and then wrap it in some brown paper, and I know that's very cute. Or just use old poly mailers or boxes that you have at your own house. Boxes do weigh more though, so try to like use the poly mailers if you can, because it'll end up being cheaper. And then as for like my packaging style, this is something that I think is very important because again, like branding with a business is like the biggest thing. So like you brand your business when you create the logo for it. You brand your business when you have like a certain set of filters with the items that you sell. So branding your packaging too is also something that is going to help you when people receive their item, just have a good experience and hopefully buy from you again. I'll fold it up, lint roll it, and I'll wrap it up in twine, and then I stick my business card underneath it. I got them from Vistaprint, very cheap, so I think it cost me like a couple pennies. I have like 500 of them actually. But obviously you don't have to pay for business cards. What you can do is make them yourself. I used to do that. Or you could buy super inexpensive stickers off of Mercari. I always buy like brandy stickers, like packs of 100. I think I end up paying like a couple cents each for them, and it's just like a nice way that when people receive their item, they're like, oh my god, that's so cute, and then just have a good experience, like I said before. Now I'm gonna talk about growing your account, which I think is something that you're probably all waiting for, because you can't sell items if you don't have followers or people bidding. So at first it's going to be a little bit frustrating trying to get followers and trying to get people to bid, and you're not gonna make a ton of money, but just trust me, you gotta trust the process, you gotta take risks, and you just have to keep going with it. I know at first it's like really frustrating when you're making like $2.35 off of an item, but trust me, you'll get to the point where you're like making $20. It took me not even a month to get to that point, so don't worry about it. Here are my tips that I think are the best ones for growing your account. So the first thing that I would recommend doing is to really brand your account with the items that you're uploading. So I think the best way to explain this is with an example. I know that there's this account called Low Tide Thrift, and she uploads very like beachy pieces. So on her account you find things from Roxy, from Quicksilver, from Volcom, from all these different surf brands, Billabong too, and it's always like cute t-shirts, crew necks, and then sometimes she'll add rompers, swimsuits, and stuff, and she has a very specific branding. So when you go to Low Tide Thrift, you know you're buying like beachy themed stuff, and a lot of the time accounts do that. Personally, on my page, I don't have like a specific branding per se, like how she does where I only upload beachy stuff, but I would say that my account is more like trendy items that you would buy if you went to the mall, but for better prices and like the popular items. I try to stay away from like super sporty stuff, and I stay away from plain t-shirts because that's just not like the market that I sell to. And then on a more specific level, I think I mentioned this earlier, is to find like unique pieces. So try to find things that you can't really buy everywhere, even though I said like that's literally what my account is, but just because it's from Urban Outfitters doesn't mean it's gonna sell. But if it's a really cool trendy piece from Urban Outfitters, then someone is more likely to buy it. The next tip is something that helped me a lot. I currently follow like 7,000 people on my account, which is, I don't think it looks that good, but it definitely helped me in order to get more followers, and this is called target following. So what you do is go on these big accounts, and it would be best to go on accounts that have like similar like styles to you, like the clothes they upload are similar to you, and follow all the people that bid on items. So I know that I used to go on, her name is Carly and she runs at Gnarly Fits. I go on her account a lot, and I'll just follow people who bid, and I'll follow them like the instant they bid. So when she uploads drops, I put on reminders and follow those people. And by doing that, you're getting people who are actively involved in these thrift accounts, so they're more likely to actually like go ahead and follow your account and bid on your items. So I would definitely recommend doing something like that. Like you can't follow a million people. I've gotten action blocked a few times, but this is a good way to get some people. I definitely have some like returning customers who bought from me from that method, so recommend that. Another thing I really recommend is doing as many shout out for shout outs as possible. I think buying shout outs are overrated most of the time, because a lot of the time these big accounts like sell them for like $5. When I was first starting out, I paid like $10, $20 for shout outs from different people, and I got like maybe 4 followers. So I don't recommend those as much as I recommend for shout outs, because they're free, first of all, they're easy to do, and I don't know, I feel like it's helped me a lot. So what I'll do about like once or twice a week is I'll DM like a bunch of thrift pages. I think my best tip for this is to just DM people who have a similar amount of followers, because those are the people that are more likely to like do a shout out for shout out, because it's like an equal deal. But I definitely recommend like DMing like people with big accounts or small accounts, because you never know who's gonna follow you. And I just do like that twice a week, and I find that it helps me get like a couple new followers. And then another thing I think that I mentioned earlier is adding a lot of hashtags. I feel like people find me through those hashtags, so I do that as well. And then another thing that I noticed worked really well for Low Tide Thrift is she created a TikTok for her account. And this is genius because TikTok is like the biggest thing right now. It's the best way to get followers and stuff. Unfortunately, as many TikToks as I have made, none of them have blown up yet, but I'm waiting for the day because you need literally one TikTok to blow up and your account will get huge. So if you create a thrift page, all you have to do is make a little TikTok and then just make a couple of them. You can do like hauls on there, you can do like tutorials on like how you package your items, but I think that's a great way in order to get more followers. So now I have a couple general tips I thought I would share with you guys. So first, I think that something that will really help you is to try and model your account and copy the things that people who have big, successful thrift accounts do. So when I was first creating my account, obviously I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. So I went on pages like Gnarly Fits and Low Tide Thrift, and I like set up my description box a similar way. I tried to make my photos look similar just so that I knew that it was something trendy. And then once I had like a basic model laid out, what I did is transitioned more into my own style. Obviously you don't want to copy people exactly and don't want to have the same exact items because you can't be as good as somebody else. It's okay to copy at first so that you can make your own version of it off of that. Hope that makes sense. That's what I did, and I think I have like my own branding right now and it looks pretty good. I know that I'll look at the big pages to find items that they sell quickly, and that's how I pick up items, because if it's sold quickly or it's sold at bin on their page, it's likely that a lot of people are interested in it if I upload it too. So I do that. And that's a tip I have. Another tip is to ship very quickly. People are very nervous when they're buying things online because if you have a new account, people like don't know if you're actually gonna send them the item. Personally, there have been multiple instances where I just like wasn't comfortable like buying from accounts. So make sure you ship quickly so people like kind of ease that comfort. And then with Pirate Ship, you actually get a tracking number, free tracking. Send that to them. You can even write in your description, once you purchase the item, you get tracking within like 20 minutes if you can like box up the item that quickly, which you probably could. And then that will make people more likely to buy something because the tracking is like proof that they're going to get the item. Another tip I have is to provide proof on your stories. When people send me proof that they have received their item, what I do is I black out their like username and any personal information, and I post it on my story, and I have a highlights tab for it. It just makes people feel more comfortable when they're buying things. And then the last thing is to just be nice to people online and when you're selling items. Like, I know it's frustrating when people back out of bids, and it's going to happen inevitably. It doesn't happen as much as you think it does though, but just don't be mean. Just be like, sorry, I have a strict no backing out policy. I'm going to have to block you, and then block them. Don't be mean. Please don't get into fights with people. And then when people are paying you for something, you should be so grateful that they're spending their hard-earned money buying something from you. I know that it's like a business and you're probably like, whatever, I'm making money, but being nice and saying thank you, using like, I use the happy face emoji like a ridiculous amount, but be grateful, because I think that that will just attract more positivity and more customers, and people will just have a better experience with you, which is always the goal, because then they're more likely to come back. So after 24 straight minutes of this video, I hope you guys got some tips on how to start your page. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below, DM me on Instagram at Alicia Hollings, I think it is. And just, you know, I'll always be here to answer your questions. I have had so much fun with this. It's a great thing to do over the summer since your summer camp has probably been canceled, which I'm so sorry about. I personally don't know if I'm gonna be working at camp, which kind of makes me sad. But anyway, just in your free time, it's a great way to make money. I'm personally doing it to save up for college. So yeah, thank you guys so much for spending your time with me. I hope you learned a lot, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.